Oki nistunetana ko Abanitsuaki. Nistuana ko Gana gi Pigani. My name is Tanealle Shade, and I am a graduate of CCH. I graduated this past summer, 2021. And I am from the Kainai First Nation and Pigani First Nation of the Blackfoot Confederacy. This new era that we've come upon, kinship and introduction is really important into those two. For me personally, my identity has been all of our identities have just been kind of a melting pot of everything we take from Western culture to African culture to um, my culture, for all of us, things that we identify with. Culture is identity is a really like broad topic. Um, but my identity has been definitely shaped by, of course, my school, the people who I grew up around, growing up on the reserve, and coming to school off the reserve definitely was like a big um, thing that shaped my identity. I got to walk what I like to call walking in both worlds. You are quite literally walking along those two worlds, very different worlds, and it's like hard to manage as a kid, of course, and going to school and growing up, figuring out where you fit and what is what. As an Indigenous woman here in Canada, especially, I always say that we are not activism is not really a choice for us necessarily. It's just something that we're born into. My family and I like to mention we are born activists. We don't really have a say. It's not that we don't have a say, it's just we're, not going to just sit back and let others fight our fight. Um, so, as a young Indigenous woman, I've always felt a responsibility to use my voice, speak up for others who can't speak up for themselves, because there's so many of our marginalized children, elders, women who cannot make decisions for themselves even. So it's important that we have advocates like myself and other people doing work to advocate for those people who cannot speak all the time as freely as we can. Um, I've always just felt a sort of, yeah, responsibility to do things when I see any sort of like injustice or anything wrong with that I know is not right. I will never like wait to call it out or say something or bring awareness to the situation, even if it's an uncomfortable topic that not everyone wants to talk about. It kind of makes you an outsider a lot of the times. It definitely outcasts you because you're saying something different than what everyone else is saying. And that can be hard, especially in high school and as a teenager. But you just have to know that what you're doing is right, even if it doesn't seem, like the right decision at the time. My grandparents, Leroy and Amethyst, have um, they're actually my adopted grandparents, but they raised me since I was a baby, and it's like that for a lot of First Nation children have very, very close knit relationships with their grandparents. Our grandparents are the ones who teach us about our family, our ancestors, our family tree, our family lineage, tell us our stories, why we are here today, why we are the way we are, and explain to us those fine things that we don't understand. Or so it's very important, I think, and I'm very blessed to have my grandparents here. They are just like books. They have so much information, and all of our elders do. So it's really important that we go out, we listen to our elders, we just sit down and talk to them and just hear their stories, even if it's just over a cup of coffee, because they have so much to say, so much knowledge to share, and so many stories. There's so many stories out there to be heard from each and every single one of our people and our elders, especially. So, yeah, I'm very grateful to have my grandparents, and it's been an amazing experience learning from them, taking what I can in that of the Western world and our Blackfoot world and both Blackfoot ways of knowing. It's been quite a blessing to have both of them by my side. A manipuka is something traditionally, yeah, an old like, the oldest child, I think, in the family, and they would have been taken and raised by the grandparents, so in Blackfoot, that is called, the grandparent's child, and that's manipuka, so, yeah, they are raised by their grandparents, and, they get, like, extra attention, and they were spoiled just because of, grandparent, that's what they do with their grandchildren, and but in turn, for that extra attention and extra love, and these children had the responsibility to carry on their family's traditions, whether that would have been their transfers or their stories, their personal things, their legacy, whatever that might look like for them, and that's traditionally, back in the day, what that would have been. Um, and so, yeah, my grandparents always tell me that I'm their mini puka, because I am, like, their child. They did raise me, and, um, yeah, I owe a lot of my worldview and way I see the world, my perspectives today and everything, to them because they definitely showed me a lot and raised me, very well, alongside my parents, of course. Buffalo Treaty has been around for almost going on like almost 10 years, 8 years. So it's been around for quite a while, and my grandparents and a whole network and connection, and a whole network of other people work together to create this Buffalo Treaty. And traditionally, we would have had buffalo, but of course, we do not see buffalo roaming in the plains in abundance like they once were. Um, and so the Buffalo Treaty is kind of a way for us to take back that right. Um, and in right now, we are actually working um, with Cypress Hills, I think, to get a cultural like intertribal herd is what we're calling it. So all of our tribes and the Buffalo Treaty signatories in this area can go and actually like hunt and use that buffalo for like personal traditional uses, which will be really really awesome because that's like exactly what the Buffalo Treaty aims for. It's to get like our free roaming buffalo back on our territories so we can have them in abundance again, and that's kind of the goal of that treaty. It's been signed in all over America and of course in Canada, even in Mexico, and a few signatories from Europe. They do have buffalo there as well. So yeah, it's a treaty. It's a lot of things. It has efforts to do with conservation, food sovereignty, cultural, of course, and I don't want to say religious, but cultural practice, economics, in all. It touches the treaty itself, touches on all of those topics, and those are kind of the terms of that treaty. Reconciliation, to me, I think really comes down to a relationship. Reconciliation, that's kind of the root of that word. Um, and people always talk about this relationship between Canada and our First Nations here in Canada, but I always think there's not really much of a relationship to start with. Um, and if there is, it's not a very good relationship. So, in order to have a relationship, we both need to have trust if you think of it just like anyone else, like your sibling or your mother, your father, your best friend, or your significant other. You both need to trust in each other, and you both need to have compassion and understanding for whatever that person may be going through. And I think that's just a good reminder on all levels of how you treat people. You never know what someone can be carrying with them, so what someone can be going through inside of them, what have they have going on behind closed doors. I think that's a good rule of thumb to just be kind to everyone and make relationships, make connections, make as many friends as you can. You'll learn so much from that. And reconciliation is, I'm very glad that we're having things like this in school. This is an example of reconciliation. 20 years ago, um, when my parents, maybe 30 years ago, when my parents were like in school and whatnot, um, they would have, never had any talk of this or having like students share their stories. And so examples like this are examples of reconciliation. And I think this is a really good example of what we need to keep doing, keep initiating into our daily lives and into our schools, into our workplaces. Um, and into everything. I've been seeing a lot of more programs, more Indigenous focused um, everything. So that's really good to see. Um, Especially in a place like Southern Alberta. This is really awesome to see, but it's a part of the puzzle. And like we mentioned, it's not like a one-day thing or just for the month of September. It's a relationship that we are going to constantly have to monitor and work at and both put effort in to keep alive and keep well, just like any other relationship that you may have with someone near and dear to you.